Tadashiva Samarambam Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Param Om. Om Shanti 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 Om Namaste. Welcome. Here we are. Chapter 12. So we are looking at the feature, the characteristics of such a highly evolved devotee. We are seeing in the context of Bhakti Yoga, the highest Bhakta is jñani yogi, especially the one who has complete its sadhana of self-recognition. He has therefore understood its purnatva nature and his unity, oneness with Brahman as Nirguna Atma. So we have seen that. Before that, life appears to be a constant struggle to what? To try to find happiness, to get a sense of completion, satisfaction, security, peace. So we run out of things not knowing that we are running out of peace, completeness, satisfaction. We keep running objects, tangible object or subtle objects. The important thing is to have something that gives me hope for completeness. And hope does not work in most cases, even though hope as a positive attitude has its value as well. And then we came to the point that such a devotee does not feel that anything is missing anymore. It's just a sense that I have accomplished that which has put an end to the need for completeness through gaining things, accomplishing things. I have understood completeness to be my very nature as consciousness, one without a second, the only reality. Some people, they have emotional needs. Some people have intellectual needs. So those needs, those lack, feelings, they go gradually but surely. They go after self-recognition and also in the process towards self-recognition. So how does that translate in practical life? To live a life without feeling that there is always something missing, there is always something missing. So how can someone live from that perspective of knowledge, understanding of one's full, whole, and complete nature, identity as consciousness? Once you understand these, naturally, unconsciously, organically, the need to accomplish things as a means to add more fullness to oneself is over. The game is over because you understood it. You understood why you are running for things as a means to complete you. And then now that you have got the understanding that what you are is not the body, mind, sense complex, which is intrinsically insecure, limited, finite, and incomplete. So you shift your identity somehow to consciousness, the only reality, therefore whole without any parts, partless whole. The only thing, the only game in town is consciousness. Everything is just a superimposition upon consciousness, and Jivatma is that consciousness. So once we understand that, one does not do things anymore to find completeness or happiness but does think from the standpoint, I am whole, full, and complete, and fully satisfied, yet I'm doing things. Why? Why not? Uh, It's the same, doing or not doing. I'm ever free from any sense of lack or strong desire to gain something as if that could add something to myself. It does not mean that the person is going to become a lazy, tamasic. Ajñani can be very highly active as well, but activity is not born out of a sense of I need to get something more to get further satisfied or complete. When activity is born out of incompleteness, it's called struggle. This is a very nice sentence. Activity born out of incompleteness, it makes life a struggle, a drag, a burden, and so on. Right? If you don't agree with anything, please uh, say something. So what's the definition of struggle? Any activity you do with from a sense of unhappiness, dissatisfaction, incompleteness. In the case of this highly developed devotee, bhakta, in case of jñani, not this jñani not necessarily must be somewhere in a cave in Tiruvannamalai. He may be very active in our society, as Krishna said in the third chapter. In the third chapter, verse 25, Krishna says he's involved in activities. Perhaps he's even busier than most samsaris. Perhaps he's even busier than most ajñanis. So the best example we know we have in our recent Sampradaya, Shimayananda. But the difference is the activities do not come from a need wanting mind. It does not come from an incomplete mind. The activities do not come as a struggle, as a means to, to really accomplish completion. So if we feel incomplete, insecure, insufficient, limited, and so on, and then we need to overcome those hard feelings, that bad feelings, negative feelings. And then when we do that, we do absolutely rooted in the identity I am the body mind sense complex, and I want to gain completeness as a body mind sense complex. It will never work. You understand? And then activities of the body mind sense complex try the impossible mission and find completeness and fullness is going to be a struggle. Why? Because it's impossible to make the body mind sense complex absolutely full, whole, and complete. It's limited by all means. So the only way out here to be over with this lacking, wanting, needing mind is to go through a process of refinement, development of the qualifications necessary to enter the Shravan Manana Nididhyasana with good chance of understanding and therefore shifting one sense of identity from the body-mind sense complex to Satchitananda Brahman, conscious existence, the only thing in town, the only game in town, the only reality. Therefore, the activity of such a jñani is called leela. It's just a play. It comes without a sense of struggle because it's not that the jñani wants to really accomplish anything except just fulfill its duty or get practical things done, but never with a feeling of success and defeat, failure. And yogi, the yogi here means ajñani, the one who has accomplished self-knowledge, which is the ultimate yoga, the ultimate purpose. Literally, the word yoga means the Jivatma seeker is trying to connect Paramatma. So it is connecting, join together, coming together. This is called yoga, contacting your Paramatma nature. So that's why Kama Yoga is called yoga, because you are trying to, to resolve yourself into Sagunishwara by understanding Sagunishwara, dedicating your actions to the Lord Saguna, and receiving your paradise coming from the Saguna Lord. So you have a connection established there. And you want to develop punya by observing the laws and principles of the Saguna Lord. So when we go into Kama Yoga, we know that there is a yoga of connection, of contact. When we go into Pasana Yoga, there is a yoga of contact, you and your object of Upasana, which is Saguna Brahman, Saguneshwara. But once we come to Vedanta, we still call it yoga, but it's the yoga of no connection, the yoga of no contact, as one of our Mahatmas said, not distant future from what I understood, past. So, which kind of yoga is this one? It's a non-dual yoga, yoga of understanding, which is going to bring Jivatma and God, Paramatma, together by the means of jnana. Because Jivatma and Paramatma do not need to connect, they do not need to join, they do not need to make a special contact, because there is no distance or difference between the Atma of Jiva and the Atma of Paramatma. So Jivatma is not apart from Ishwara, which of course is not apart from Nirguna Brahman. Everything is resolved first in Ishwara, Saguneshwara, and then furthermore, one step further into Nirguna Ishwara, Nirguna Brahman. So far, so good. Understood? Therefore, Atmayana is the yoga in its primary sense. Karma Upasana called yoga in a secondary sense. Means yogi, up to this we saw in the last class. We have non-dual yoga, and then we have a dualistic yoga. We know that the dualistic yoga it will never bring about self-knowledge and moksha, but will bring about a sense of release or diminishment of the problematic life of ajñani. So just leaning on Ishwara, trying to understand Ishwara, trying to connect with Ishwara. How are you going to connect with Saguna Ishwara? By understanding Saguna Ishwara as the laws and principles operating in the Dhamma field. So that's how you connect Saguna Ishwara. Now the next word appearing here is yatatma. Atma in this context do not mean nirguna atma, but the mind sense, the sense organs complex. Yeah, the subtle body, stula, sukshma, sharira, daiva. All the three, stula, sukshma, complex. Otherwise, the technical word used is karya, karana, consisting of the body, the sense organs, and the antakaran, the mind. Okay, you talk about the entire, all functions of the subtle body. No, physical body and subtle body. It's the condition every one of us as a jivatma find ourselves. We have a physical body, very dense body, and then we have a subtle body on it, let's say. All these three put together is called Atma in this context. So we have the physical body, we have the mind, which is the subtle body, and we have the sense organs. So why the sense organs? You see, the other day we were talking about different functions of the subtle body. Lynn was asking about the mind and the intellect. So now we are seeing here the subtle body associate with the physical body. And it presents not only the mind, which encompasses, the ego, the memory system, the mind, the feelings, emotions, but also encompass the sense organs. The sense organs. We know in the chart of Ramji down there in the sense in the subtle body, in between the physical body and the physical body, there are the sense organs, the five senses. They are right there, okay? But they are subtle. They are also very, very subtle. They have two dimensions to themselves. They have their physical instruments, which is the nose, the eye, but they have the subtle sense organ that belong to the subtle body. So here we have the body-mind complex, which brings about also the five sense organs and the five organs of action. So why he's bringing this all together? Let's see. All these three put together is called Atma in this context, meaning to say that the Atma here means the body, mind, sense complex, not the Satchitananda Atma, not the Nirguna Atma, is the body, mind, sense complex is here called Atma. So he's saying that because it is this instrument, the body, sense complex, body, mind, sense complex, needs to be regulated, well managed, well kept, well refined, well mastered. Therefore, yatatma means that person who has learned to manage or handle his own mind, body, mind, sense complex. So all of that to say that the complexity of this physical body attached to subtle body attached to the physical body is such there are so many different features, centers to it, and all of that as a whole need to be handled by the means and refined by the means of discipline, among other things. Okay, regulated is a good word. Well managed, kept under control, because it's a machinery. The body mind sense complex is just an instrument that functions by itself, governed by its vasanas. So if you don't want to deal with it, just leave it to your vasanas. You understand? Your vasanas are going to run it, but unfortunately are going to run it down because almost invariably we are born with a bag, a huge load, load of ignorant vasanas. That means this person knows how to regulate, discipline, manage, and refine its instrument, her own instrument. He is not enslaved by the the karma indras, the organs of actions, the jnana indras, the sense organs of experience slash knowledge. So such a person became a master of its instrument. It's very simple. We have this instrument, and somehow there is something to us, which is our Viveka Shakti, which allows the very instrument, which most, how you say, allows the intellect, which is the highest aspect of the body, mind, sense complex, to put order in the house. Okay? To say, okay, so I am the master here, I am the Viveka Shakti, I'm the one who has to look at the entire structure of this instrument And I'm the one who has to refine it, purify it, educate it, regulate it, discipline it, because I don't want just to live governed by my vasanas. If I want to live governed by my vasanas, I could have been born as an animal, any other animal who is just governed by, animal vasanas. But I have this Viveka Shakti, which gives me the possibility to choose. I have the so-called free will, and it's my function here, my Viveka Shakti, is to refine this instrument. Because I'm the master, I have to make a point to master this instrument rather than being slaved by these jnana and kama indras. So such a highly elevated bhakta is a master of the instrument. Okay, some Sanskrit there explaining the concept. And for this self-discipline, self-refinement, we have got special science called Astanga Yoga from the yoga of Patanjali. It's Swamiji talks highly about this, saying that it's a beautiful, well-organized, defined system which takes care of our character through yama and niyama. So you have to understand what you should and what you should not do in terms of thoughts, words, and deeds. So asanas will take care of my physical body. Pranayama takes care of my energy integration. Pratyahara takes care of sense organs integration. What is pratyahara? I think he mentioned about this.
I think it's focusing, keeping a direct focus.
Okay. Dharana, dhyana, samadhi takes care of my mental integration. I forgot the dharana means, Aline.
I'm trying. I've lost my text, so I'm not very. My notes aren't available. Dhyana is dharana. I think is that putting the side mark,
Oh,
and then
I almost remember now. Dharana is the first step coming before dhyana. At the beginning, this meditation comes with great effort. It's referred to dharana, and then later on, dhyana is meditation happens without the effort. It's more
Perfect.
referred to dhyana, samadhi. So through deep meditation, one is going to get mental integration. Thus, discipline and integration at all levels is accomplished by Ashtanga Yoga, and through that, this person has become Yatatima, an integrated person. This is a very intriguing concept Swam brings often about integration, integration, integration. Okay, I'm still working on trying to understand fully what he means by that. I keep waiting to see if more clear understanding of integration on several different levels. So I'm going to have an integration on my prana level with pranayama, okay, and then sense organs integration, uh, mental integration. So I tend to understand it as harmonization, to harmonize them so that they don't live in disharmony or contradictions. So who is going to do all these integrations or harmonizations? It's our exercise of Viveka Shakti, which going to harmonize my character. Fundamentally, this integration, harmonization is I think I should look into Patanjali to get a better understanding of what Swamiji means by this integration. But one of the simpler ways to understand this integration or harmonization is to integrate the dictates from my Viveka Shakti and the way these different functions of my subtle body are going to behave. So integrate my knowledge with the way I live my life. And then in order to live my life in harmony with what I know, I have to develop discipline or mastership or mastery upon the organs of actions, the organs of reception, my mental, emotional appearance or visitors. So my prana level as well has to be, integrate or harmonized. So I have to, it's like an instrument that has to be tuned and again and again and again and again so that we can have a perfect instrument of knowledge, experience knowledge to succeed in our goal, such as self-knowledge. In fact, this self-integration is required before coming to Vedanta. Yeah. And that is why it's one of the sadhana katustaya sampadi. So we have the four Ds. Now one of them is discipline, which here is being represented as integration, harmonization. I do not know whether you remember or not sadhana katustaya. Katustaya means coming, that means become coming to before coming to Vedanta. That means become coming to Vedanta. There is a mistake there. So one requires the development of those masteries or integration or howsoever, so that we can enter the stud of the Upanishads. One requires integrations for what? Let's talk in other terms. One requires a very, very refined and well-tuned instrument for receiving the knowledge. Okay. So as we know, Shravana is receiving the knowledge. And the body, mind, sense complex has to be properly tuned, properly refined, and disciplined and harmonized so that we can listen to the class for 1 hour, sometimes two, without distraction, without having a mind traveling here and there in every possible moment. Swami plays a joke and say, I don't know, because I don't have the power to read people's minds. So I just hope, I assume that you are listening here for 1 hour, but only you know how many distractions are taking you away from the class. In my Portuguese class, I ask people to keep the video on because if the video is off, they get distracted more often. You understand? They are more free to trip around, and because they are not being seen, and then they say, oh, now it's okay. Now I can even do some chatting in my telephone while listening to the class. Shravana requires great integration, harmonization of those centers in our instrument. And then after Shravana, I need to see how much I have understood. So doubts will arise, and then I have to work on my doubts. And again, away from the class produce an environment which is more sattvic, but away from the class, back to my day-to-day exchange or interactions with my life, I have to do manana on my own, and I have to keep that level of mastery and refinement and integration so that I can go through my doubts. So a lot of the people, they never bring up any doubt. And the people in my Brazilian group who never brought any doubt or question are not the highest or most qualified students of mine. Maybe on the contrary, because they don't even have the state of mind, the mental condition to do manana on one's own. They can do shravana with great distraction, but they feel better about doing shravana. Whenever possible, they do shravana, but they don't follow up with manana, not to talk about nididhyasana, which is totally out of question, which requires even more qualification, more integration, harmonization of the tuning up of the body, mind, sense complex. Therefore, self-discipline, body, mind, sense complex is required, and this is gained through a lifelong effort. Effort, yes, there is effort. A musician may take quite some time to tune its instrument before a show, a performance. It takes time, takes energy, attention. A man or a woman without self-discipline cannot accomplish anything of this world, much less self-knowledge. Even reading a simple article in a simple magazine will be difficult because there is no focus. 5 lines, and then the person stands up, thinks of something else, gets distracted with the telephone and so on. The person makes a huge effort to read a few lines, 10 lines, and then stand up when it least expect, finds himself or herself in the kitchen, opening the fridge. So the mind is disturbed, is dispersed. No attention span. Therefore, this person is yatatma, before as well later. Yatatma, you remember? We have seen this word recently now. Has become an integrated person, integrate personality, integrate instrument, well-tuned instrument. He's referring not to the person without any attention span, but to the jñani. Then the attention span is very, very limited. Therefore, this person is yatatma, before as well as later. I think it's referring to the well-integrated person, huh? Well,
Someone who's controlling both the mind and the senses, I think.
Yeah, because yatatma is a well-integrated person. Yeah, because he talks about the ajñani, and then in the end he said, therefore this person, but does not refer to the ajñani, but to the jñani. is well integrated before as well as later. This is again a little bit not clear what he means by before as well as later.
I think he means before he comes to Vedanta, as well as later, after Vedanta as well. So he said in the previous line that it requires lifelong discipline or lifelong integration.
Yeah. Right on. Because of this self-discipline, this person is able to attain self-knowledge. That means the one who has got knowledge with full conviction. How to get doubtless, full conviction, self-knowledge. So a hard and fast self-knowledge, a doubtless self-knowledge. So you have to have a very, very well-refined instrument of knowledge. So it means, as Mark said, so it comes from before we come to Vedanta, living a disciplined life so that you develop mastery over your instrument. And then you come to Vedanta, and then you get self-knowledge with full conviction. Because without self-knowledge, without conviction does not help at all. So the difficult part of self-knowledge is to make it doubtless, to make it total conviction, no doubt. And that is only possible if you got through the Shravana, you understood the entire body of knowledge of Vedanta, and then you apply the knowledge in your life, and then you get a doubtless knowledge in respect to what you are. So therefore, we listen, and then we do our manana to solve all the doubts so that we have a doubtless, full conviction self-knowledge. But that does not end the process because nididhyasana is still missing. That's why we have got two processes. The first one is Shravana, as we know. And the tradition says at the beginning, just listen to everything. For how long? Some years, some decades, whatever. And then the tradition say, don't raise your question during the classes. You have to listen as a cow eating the grass. It's wandering all over the Vedantic teachings, she's just, sucking in this teaching and say, okay, I'm not in the condition to really intelligently challenge what is being presented to me here. So I just listen without interrupting the class again and again. This is the tradition in general. No? So I'm saying, even if you get some doubts in the middle, in the beginning, don't ask those doubts. Keep them. Generally, you'll find out that the more you listen, the more the doubt gets cleared. That is so much truth. You just listen. You just listen. You just listen. Just imagine if every time I have a little doubt in respect to the teachings, I would contact Swami Paramarthananda. No, I'm first of all, I mean, I don't try to understand better some verse or some interpretation. There are commentators are there, the gurus are there, specialized gurus. I'm not doing to get more self-knowledge. I'm going that so that I can be a better teacher, better exposer, huh? But things come clear. with time. Stay in contact with the scriptures. So listen for some time. The doubts are going to be cleared. Swamiji, you have some telepathy because I came today. I had a doubt, but you cleared the doubt today during the class. You probably read my mind. He said, no, there is no magic here. Vedanta has anything, has the entire body of knowledge that's going to address all doubts of all kinds of people. It's just a question of time. That's how it works. Therefore, for a length of time, do Shravana, giving the benefit of the doubt to the teaching and the teacher. You know? People in the beginning, they have a strong ego. They start popping and challenging the scripture, the teaching, and of course the teacher. And they start cooking up inside because I'm saying something that hurts their notions. And some people they really disturb sometimes, interrupt. I had a few people, but when I see that they are very genuine, I just try to calm them down, and they calm down with a few months or years. But that's the way the tradition do. You have to give the benefit of the doubt rather than begin challenging the exposition by the guru of the teachings, as if you know better, as if your notions are more accurate, you are so ignorant. So how do I know that you're ignorant? Because you are here in the class. If you are not self-ignorant, you would not be here. So therefore, anything that you have collected as notions and concepts, spiritual notions and concepts, it still do not remove your ignorance. Though, therefore, it's better to shut up and listen. Once you went through a comprehensive Shravana, generally, much doubts do not remain. Most of them, they're solved. And then you start the second process called looking for doubts. Manana. Manana, sometimes I put it looking for hidden doubts, hidden vagueness, hidden abstractions that you pushed behind below the carpet. So you are looking. So there is something here that's still an obstacle. There are some doubts. I don't trust these teachings as much. So why you don't trust? It's not because I don't have Shraddha, because Shraddha is a byproduct of having less and less doubts in respect to the teachings. So you have less and less doubts because you're understanding more and more the teachings. So if you have too many doubts, means that you have to listen and listen, listen. When you come to a point to say, I have no more doubts, and then the Vedanta will say, okay, now look for doubts. Okay? Look for hidden doubts. Doubts that somehow are still obstacles, but need to be brought to surface. That is manana. Okay? The elimination of inner doubt, hidden doubt, subconscious doubts, suspiciousness, abstractions. Okay? Vagueness of knowledge is no good as well. The intellect must be fully satisfied. So this is manana. Only when you have removed all doubts and vagueness and abstractions and which are all happening in the intellectual level. Fortunately, we have an intellect, he says plain. The job of the intellect is always to raise questions. Raise questions. No, I have no questions. Okay, good luck. Observe how you live your life, and then you will know if you are living and acting as a jñani or not. Swami Shivananda nicely says, you have to have doubts and you need to have some suspicions, especially against those gurus. And then he used to play, the longer the beard, the more suspicious you have to be. Swami then changed the subject and say, most people in class listens to the class and then they think that out of respect to for the guru, they don't raise any doubts. My experience, especially when I have a larger group, 15, 20 people on the internet, people do not like to expose their doubts because they feel like, I'm exposed, I'm just opening myself to the group. And so many people are going to watch these videos in the internet. So I'm exposing my ignorance, and that does not feel good to the ego. You understand? So out of of this vanity or respect to the guru, they don't present any doubts. They tend to overdo. Some people say, "Oh, I understood everything. Now everything is so clear. Oh my God, it's incredible. Thank you, thank you." You say like, "Now I got everything," you know? They exaggerate, no doubt. I got everything. I had a student. She disappeared by now. She had the age of Ramji, by the way. Even I do not know how she's doing lately, even if she's still alive. But she used to participate in some of my seminars and say, Naga, now it's everything is clear, totally clear. I have no doubt anymore, you know? Now I got it. And then she would forget everything. And then she would come for the next seminar. And then after the seminar, in the middle, she would say the same thing. Therefore, until I'm convinced, I have to look for doubts and questions and expose it, bring it to the guru, because those are hidden inner questions that more often than not I cannot resolve on my own without any help. So one has to go through this Shravana and Manana to get doubtless knowledge in respect to the teachings. I will get a full conviction in respect to the teachings Aham Brahmasmi, which is called technically Drida Niskayaha. From this, it is very clear that the greatest bhakta must have a clear, oh, look what he writes here, a clear Vedantic knowledge. He's not saying a clear self-knowledge. He says clear Vedantic knowledge. He went through the teachings, he understood the teachings, and it's a doubtless, he looked for doubts. So he understood, he has full conviction. Now, what is happening? Well, it could be that one, in the process of getting a doubtless self-knowledge, one gets the direct self-knowledge. But more often than not, one has to go through the third Upanishad stage, or within the structure of teaching, which is Nididhyasana, which is another kind of homework, which is somehow turning this indirect knowledge. I know anything about the Upanishad teachings in respect to Brahman as my very nature. I understood, I got it. You know? I spoke with a Brazilian guy the other day. He was saying, no, I'm not going to go to do this seminar in the carnival with you because I have so much, I got to read so much. And then in the conversation, it was transpiring that he believes that he has enough knowledge to do the rest of his work on his own because he does not want to be dependent on this and that. So You get the Vedantic knowledge through Shravana, and then Manana has to follow. It may take how long as only Shwara knows. And then more often than not, you need to do Nididhyasana to convert this indirect knowledge into direct knowledge. So Krishna himself tells it very clearly, without Vedantic knowledge, you will be a bhakta. Therefore, bhakti can reach its culmination only when you start the scriptures of Vedanta and assimilation and internalization. Therefore, Dridaha Niskayaha, a firm knowledge in respect to Vedanta, doubtless knowledge with total conviction. So now you are absolutely sure I am consciousness, the only reality. And as I shared sometimes, I knew that for decades before self-recognition took place. And I was myself surprised to see, although I knew that, I had a certain sense, that's what it is, but yet why I'm behaving as if I'm not consciousness, the only reality. Understand? So why not? Why I'm still, living as an ajñani if I have this conviction of ajñani, which is I am consciousness, everything is conscious. That's all I need. I knew really because I was never exposed to the teaching of Vedanta, but I heard a lot of good fragments, inspirational fragments from Nisargadatta and Ramana. So what is the next characteristic of such a highly developed bhakta? In this verse it says, I have told before we go into this word which is contained in that verse, he says, as I told you before, our appreciation of the Lord takes place in three levels. The first level, you have a relationship with your deity, a person, a deity representing Ishwara. So I place him, I imagine him to be in one of these highest locus, highest heaven in some place. Is most commonly known as Ishta Devata, God, Ishwara. And then from there I grow to learn upon God as the creator, but also God not only as a deity, but the entire creator, that is Ishta Devata, Ishwara, or Vishvarupa, Ishwara. The entire manifestation is Vishvarupa, is the next level. The final level is Arupa, Ishwara. That the Lord does not become the world, the Lord appears as the world. So why he's reminding us of these three levels of bhakti here, it must have a nice relevance wrapping up, closing here. The most important point that you should note is that the higher levels of bhakti does not displace or destroy the lower level. So he's saying that the jñani, although he went through the two previous levels of bhakti yoga, he got into the highest level, which is non-dual devotion. You devote to the scripture that reveals your very nature as God, as Brahman. No? And people, they are afraid that by developing this third level of devotion, they may lose the two other lower levels, as if, the higher level is going to destroy the lower levels of bhakti. If the person thinks this way, it means the person is not well informed about the teachings of Vedanta. A jñani who appreciates the formless God as Nirguna Brahman can still continue having devotion towards Ishta Devata and also towards Vishvarupeshwara. Shankaracharya talks about that he's an incredible teacher, master. He spoke everything about Nirguna Brahman, but at the same time he wrote a splendid poetical verse on Lord Shiva or any one of these deities, which means that Advaita will never destroy Advaita Bhakti. And in fact, one Acharya beautifully says, in fact, Advaitin and Advaitin can enjoy Advaita Bhakti more than others. So you are Advaitin, you are Bhakti, non-dual Bhakti. You can enjoy dualistic Bhakti more than others. Why? Because your mind was further purified so that you have a greater, even greater, without depending on Saguneshwara, you have a greater appreciation of Saguneshwara. The ajñani or the other two levels of bhakti yoga or yogis now, they understand the Saguna to a certain degree, but they depend, and nobody's free if there is dependence playing, you know. Freedom is freedom from dependence. Oh, I fell in love, blah, 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 blah. Okay, there is attachment, yes. And there is dependence, yes. That dependence is going to undermine the love itself because nobody likes dependence. Advaitin never loses his Ishtadevata. Therefore, he has got now two channels or even three channels. Ekarupa, Anekarupa, Arupa channel. He has three channels to relate to the Lord. Okay, I can talk to myself. In my case, I was never really into the Vedic culture. Although I stayed many years in India, but my relationship or association with my first guru was not including Ishta Devatas or any concept of God the Creator. He was against that. He was more in the lines of Buddhism. So I don't have a channel to any Ishta Devata. Or if I have a channel, I have two channels then, which is Ishvara as the supreme intelligence, the laws operating, producing the miracle of life before ourselves, within our body mind, because this intelligence is holding together this instrument. No? So, howsoever, if you have an Ishtadevata, and then you can develop also the Vishvarupa, seeing the Lord as the universe, and you can even see it on a subtler level as Ishvara, as the intelligence holding this manifestation in place. And then you have the third level, which is the non-dual devotion towards Nirguna Brahman, which is the true nature of Saguna Brahman. So when the person has got emotional needs, and then Swami goes in some psychology here, it's very nice. We are running out of time to go into this now. He develops nicely the psychology about having someone to lean upon. Because when human beings, they have emotional needs or trouble, and it's a religious person, it's better you have your personal deity, personal God. Personal relationship is always better because when I have emotional problem, you always would like to pour your problems into someone. Oh, I'm suffering, geez, somebody did that, blah, 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 blah. That's what they say in the old days when there was a joint family system. The children did not need to go to a special therapeutic treatments with psychological, psychiatric professionals because they had, the entire body of family with brothers, sisters, and uncles, aunts, and grandmother, grandfather, father. So it was so large that there was always someone you could, you know, uh, pour your suffering, your complaints, and everything. And that serves a very profound psychological purpose, which is to empty everything on someone. Someone you can lay on one's lap or shoulder and then cry and say anything that you cannot say to kind of anybody. So people go to therapists like I did at the early age when I was a young person, very young, before my 20s. Somehow we learned that you can trust your therapist. You can say everything, and that helps just to put it all out. Okay, so we leave the rest of this psychological display here for next week. Anything from you guys?
I was just thinking about this Ekarupa devotee, and I realized that when I was young, I had a very strong devotional relationship to God the not Christ so much, so weirdly enough, but often when I was young, I and suffering a great deal as a youngster, I could just sit in God's lap and be comforted.
Mm.
So it's sort of neat to know that I don't really have to drop that.
Well, I hope you don't drop that, but I hope you won't need that, you know?
Oh, I don't need it. No, no. But I think it's just lovely. It's like there are layers of fullness,
Yeah,
you
because
know.
the whole process, the Dante process means this conversion between the triangular format to binary format. So, and then you come to jñani, ajñani, and then you don't need anymore, you don't depend because you have a more profound understanding, and then you don't need to cry to God, you know. You have a relationship of gratitude and appreciation for everything, which is totally different, you know.
Yeah, don't need it anymore. But I realize when I look at the progression of my spiritual development,
Yeah,
that that was just
yeah.
very necessary, and what a gift.
I used to have the same thing. I mean, I was not really a Christian church guy, but when once I got into the India uh, religious spirituality through my first guru, that came up very strong, and I was seeing God more as nature, you know. I used to write some poetry, you know, seeing God on the trees and things like that, you know, the mountains. And I had the feeling that some poetry at the time said, I want to merge into you, I want to be you, one with you. All those concepts were somehow in my mind at the time. I don't know how.
Yeah, there's a beautiful film on Teilhard de Chardin. Do you know Teilhard de Chardin at all? Is a Jesuit priest, but he had that beautiful relationship with Vishwarupa Ishwar.
Mm.
Yeah,
Mm.
it's all just great.
Vishwarupa is a whole made out of parts, okay, when we look at the cosmos. So because everything is an expression of the body of Ishwara as Vishwarupa, you know, the entire universe as we know, the entire world as we know. So it's a whole with parts. But when you go deeper into Vishwarupa, Ishwara, you can see it as the same intelligence holding it all in place, you know. And then you can have a relationship with animals, with the trees, and it's beautiful sensibility, and you think everything is God. And then you can see Ishvara as the intelligence behind every expression. So, and then you go from diversity to one single principle, which is pure sattva guna, that which makes up Ishvara.
So do you think that maybe that's what the integration is just that cognizance of the order, all those different parts being actually a whole?
Yeah, that is integrating your darshan, your vision of the Lord, because you are seeing it all as the supreme knowledge, intelligence, holding it all together. It projects, it sustains, and it recycles it moment to moment. Everything is changing, being recycled. And that is integrating or purifying or refining your darshana, your vision of the Lord manifest. And then from there, I guess it's easier to get the understanding, the non-dual darshana vision of the Lord as the substratum of everything, the substratum of Ishvara, Jiva, and the entire Jagata. No? Okay. Good meeting with you. Thank you again. Are we good for Monday? Yeah. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishate Om Shanti 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 Om Om Ishvara Namaste. Love you.
Thank you.
Hug you. See you Monday. Bye-bye.
Yeah. Thank you, Alinda. Nice satsang. Great
Thank
conversation at the end.
Yeah, thank you, much appreciate you. Like Ranji used to say, your appreciation is much appreciated.
Okay.